Welcome to the Hard Questions, Real Answers podcast, and I am back for one more episode with my friend and guest, Dan Whitney, a.k.a. Larry the Cable Guy.
The questions haven't been that hard.
Do you want them to get hard?
I don't care how hard they get.
All right, well, let's...
You say hard questions, but they've all been
You said you wanted
fairly easy
You
to
said
answer.
you wanted softballs, so I'm doing exactly what you said you wanted. Work with me, all right? Well, seriously,
we should do this with no shirts on, just for one episode.
Do you want to try it?
No, not right now.
Dude, they're going to think that Bigfoot escaped if they see me. That's not going to be good.
You know what, though? I remember one time I had my shirt off at the beach in California, and somebody from PETA threw a bucket of paint on me. Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
you're still here today.
See, I'm hairy. They thought it was
fur.
fur.
Yeah, right, I reckon, yeah. I resemble that
Creating
comment.
humor.
Well, today we are going to talk about some hard questions because there's a couple things that people want to know about. One, people know you're married, and people want to know, okay, how does a person of your influence, your stature, whatever you want to put it, does marriage successfully? Because let's be honest, a lot of people, whether they're celebrities or not, marriages don't last. Yet you have been married for how many years now? Oh, I shouldn't ask that. We should have talked about that first, right?
No, 15 years. July will be 15 years.
15 years.
July 3rd, 2005.
Hey, well done.
See?
And I know your wife. She's an evangelist, an author.
And she's hot.
And I can't say anything about that. Otherwise, it's hashtag me too. So, but she's a wonderful person. But yeah, you guys.
She's hot.
And she's hot. And here's the thing, you guys, I watch you. You guys are still in love. Like, you guys love each other. You respect each other.
That's the thing. And here's the thing that's crazy about it. She married me. She's gorgeous. She's hot. And, you know, people see us together. They think she's a hostage, you know.
Oh, I thought that.
But here's the thing. I know she loves me because she married me looking like I do now. And the good thing about marrying guys like me is there's not a big drop-off as time goes by. You know what I mean? It's like buying a Kia. You know what I mean? Sure, it's a Kia, but it's not going to get any crappier than that. You know? So I know she loves me.
But it's more than that. I mean, it's clear because of your relationship with Christ.
I said, did you just marry me for my money? She said, no, it's our money. What?
How'd this work? Well, but it's seriously. I mean, you guys, I think you follow a biblical model of marriage. From what I've seen, what we've talked about, it's clearly that Christ is impacting your marriage. Do you want to talk about that? Because there's a lot of people who are looking at their marriages going, this is horrible, and I got to get this thing turned around.
Well, I'll tell you this. We get along in the three big departments. This is what I've always said. Kara and I are the same person. These are the three important parts. Religiously, you want to believe, we believe the same stuff. Politically, we align politically together, so there's really no, and sexually. We align perfectly. All three of those departments were exactly the same. All three of those. So we don't have a problem with this, we don't have a problem with that, and we don't have a problem with that. Right. My wife and I'm just very blessed. God has blessed me with a fantastic lady. That's the thing about marriage. God has that partner for you, and when you finally find that husband or wife, you are completely joined together. And her faults and my faults, we lift each other up. We completely, we're like, we're like a plate of steak with a garnish on it. I'm garnishing her here, she's garnishing me there, and we make a great plate.
Right. And
we literally, and I'm not lying, we have not had one fight in 15 years of marriage.
Will someone fact check that for me?
That's a fact. And if we ever have arguments, we've had a few arguments, but not fights.
Right, okay.
Not like, I don't think, just like, well, I don't think, we had nice arguments.
Yeah, discussions.
She wins. But we never go to bed if there's something on our mind. We're completely honest with each other. We don't lie to each other. That you got to be completely honest. You can't lie about anything, and we don't. And so we have a good marriage. But we're connected in three of those big aspects of marriage. Is where we are completely connected. I think, though, for people that aren't connected, and a big part of it is to be connected religiously.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus plays a big role in our life because we try to follow his teachings as much as we can. The Bible talks about marriage. Jesus talks about marriage. You know, it's all over the Bible about marriage between a man and a woman, and what you do and how you respect each other and how, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's all in there, and so we try to follow closely what we're supposed to do, but we just love each other. You know, we love each other, and we were brought closer together through Jesus Christ.
Right.
That's the main thing that we focus on. We focus on that, and we know everything else will fall into line.
Bingo. Well, you mentioned those three things. I thought it was interesting. You started with religion, or we would just say the relationship with Christ, because that informs the politics, and it informs your sex life. But ultimately, it impacts all areas of life. But you've identified three key areas, and the first is the relationship with Christ. But then you did bring up something that I did want to talk about, and I think this will be really beneficial for our listeners today, is because you talked about sexuality. The reality is, there's a lot of people today. In fact, here, back to the Bible, we get reports from people telling us what they struggle with. Well, no surprise. People are struggling with lust and pornography. Now, you and I have talked off camera about our own journey with pornography. The reality is most men today struggle with it. They do.
Absolutely.
And even women today are starting to struggle with it more and more. It's starting to creep into marriages, a horribly destructive thing.
Yeah.
But the reality is you and I have both worked through that process of overcoming.
I was working through it today.
Yeah, right? We've worked through that, and it's hard.
I was working through it today when the kids went out of the...
Exactly right.
No.
No, but people are struggling,
well,
and we've been able to work through it because of God's grace. So how have you battled this?
Let me say this. Nobody ever wants to talk about it in these formats because, well, you shouldn't talk about that. You're Christians. This is the perfect time to talk about it.
Yes.
It's like when people go, well, I don't know what they're doing in church. They're not... Those people don't believe. Those people are blah, 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 or they're blah, blah. What are they doing? Well, because church isn't for people that are healed up. Church is for people that need healing.
Right.
That's why they're in church. So shut up. You know what I mean?
And they're struggling as much as everyone else.
So when it comes to this kind of stuff, I mean, here's the thing that Christians got to understand. A lot of people struggle with this. Now, do you want good, honest conversation about it, or do you want to tippy-toe around it because you don't like the content? Well, the content's offensive. Jesus never tippy-toed around anything. No. He faced it straight on. I want to say this. When I was first married, Kara wasn't a Christian. She was neither one. She didn't really, I was, but I was a backslid Christian. But this is how Jesus can change everything. Not only did she get saved and find Jesus, but she helped me with my walk and helped me come back into realizing things that I had been doing wrong. That's all God. That's a miracle.
It is.
So that's all God working. So when we became connected there, everything else fell in line. We were already pretty good at these two, but they fell in line even better. So I don't want people to think just because you have a partner that's not a Christian, or God will work. Just keep praying, God will work. Because I'm telling you, the minute you both focus on Christ, everything else is going to fall in line. It's going to fall in line. Just have faith that it's going to happen. It's good to marry someone that already believes in Jesus because you're already met. But if you're already there and there's somebody that isn't, continue to pray. Be faithful. Because when God changes that other person's heart, everything else will line up. So there, let me say that. Now with the other stuff, it's rough. You know, here's the thing about that. You can't avoid a lot of things. No. And this is all that I can say to that. Don't search it out. If you're just doing something pops in front of you, or there's that, you're like, oh, that's not a sin. You didn't do anything. Right. It's the devil tempting you. And when you act on it, then it becomes a sin to you. You're going to run across all kinds of stuff that pops on your phone or You just have to have the courage and the willpower and put on the armor of God and flee those situations. God's not going to tempt you, and He's not going to allow you to be tempted enough to where you can't. He's always going to give you a way out of it.
Right.
The question for you is, are you going to take that way out, or are you going to fall into that temptation? You know, the more that you start resisting and taking the way out, the more you start getting more calloused toward it. And the more you start resisting, it starts getting better, because, and then other people, it'll be a testimony to other people, because they'll see it.
Right.
They'll notice that you're resisting that. And so you just have to resist it. That stuff is everywhere. I feel bad for the kids growing up nowadays, because it's everywhere. For us, when we were kids,
we had to really search it out.
It was a magazine. You really had to search it out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you were going to do it, it was totally on you, because you were looking for it. You know, it's like a joke I used to do about when you went into a 7-Eleven late at night, you know, and you wanted to buy one of those magazines. So, you know, you walk in there and your buddies are waiting in the car, and there's a woman working the register. So you chicken out and you buy a 7-Up and a Snickers bar.
Right.
And so you hit another convenience store and you chicken out. And by the end of the night, you got 37 Sprites and 18 Snickers bars, some ice cream, some sunflower seeds. And so nowadays it's much easier. But here's the thing about pornography. It really grabs a hold of you, especially boys at an early age, because we reach our peak in our, you know, we're hormones are hammered at 14 and 13 up into the mid-20s.
It's crazy.
And so these pornographers don't care about your life. They don't care about, they want to make money. But once you start delving into it, you dig deeper, and you dig deeper, and you dig deeper, and you can't get out of it. And it's a rough thing. You know, it's a rough thing. So the main thing is just avoid it.
Right.
Just avoid it if you can. That was a struggle for me for a long time. You're living on the road and blah blah blah. I mean, but it's not good. You have to avoid it. You know, a lot of the women that are in there, out of necessity, some of them are like, you know, where the child, they're abducted, or they're being forced to do it, or you don't know their stories. You know, when you hear women talk about how they were in that, and the things that were happening behind the scenes, and the things that they had to go through, and they're out of it now and they became a Christian. It's really horrible. I mean, but here's the thing. Guys like girls. Women are beautiful. God made them beautiful.
Right.
Thank God He did.
Right.
But you know, you have to control those desires. They lead to bad things.
Right.
They don't lead to a good road. No one has ever sat at their computer day and night watching pornography and everything is hunky-dory. They don't have any, you know, it didn't lead to anything.
Right.
It always leads to something bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really hard, man. It's really hard to tell kids. I get it. That's one of those things you just got to pray about, and just pray sincerely. If you have kids, you just pray sincerely that God gives them the strength to stay away from it.
Right.
That's all you can do. I mean, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, well, I never used to do, you know,
good grief,
come
right?
on.
Yeah.
And not only that, and let me just say this is a tough thing to talk about, because there's people listening, and you know, this is probably a guy talk thing, but you become desensitized.
100%.
You become desensitized. And so Viagra cells are huge for a reason. Because nothing turns anybody on anymore.
Right.
They have to dig deep in the internet and, you know, find a guy herding sheep or something.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean? Because you get so twisted.
Right.
Your mind starts to get so twisted because this just that doesn't do it anymore. Normal sex doesn't do it anymore.
Right.
Now you got to find, okay, let's throw the two people in the mix and, you know, and some power tools. Let's throw a. I'm not kidding.
Right.
You know, I'm not trying to be crass about it. It gets
You're
worse.
You're describing a reality.
It gets worse and worse. I mean, if
don't think it doesn't impact you as the consumer. Right?
I get if it was just like I saw a couple of people doing that. Okay, whatever. But now it is like.
It's twisted.
It is twisted stuff. And then when kids see this their whole life and they get married or they want their wife to act out some of the stuff they saw in there. No, it's dangerous.
Right.
It is a dangerous road.
Mm-hmm.
It's just best to stay away from it. And don't say I don't know what I'm talking about, because I know what I'm talking about. I was addicted to that crap for a long time, and it's hard to get out of it.
Right.
It's tough.
Right.
The best part to do is don't even start.
Right.
Don't even start. It's not good.
The Bible says flee from sexual morality. Run. Get out. That's what you're saying. Don't go there. Don't even approach the door. Stay far away.
And that's why the Bible and Jesus even talks about all the time sexual immorality.
Right.
Because it damages you for everything. It damages you in your marriage. It damages you for your kids. I mean, it damages you.
Right. Well, and here's what I think people don't understand.
It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's, you know,
well,
but like I said, at some point you got to cash the check for that fun.
Right.
And when you get married and you have kids and you got to run to the store and get 90 bottles of Viagra because you couldn't control yourself one night on the internet, you got problems. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's stay away from it.
Right. Here's what a lot of people don't understand, and I'm so thankful for. What was the first commandment in the Bible? Do you remember the first command in the Bible? Do you know what it was?
The first command.
The first command God gave. It's in Genesis.
Yeah.
Be fruitful.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Okay.
Let me. I'm not a theologian. He is. But I know what it is.
Yeah. God's first command was go have sex with your wife. Just do it and do it and do it and do it. But do it with your wife.
But don't abuse it. Don't abuse this beautiful thing that God gave us. Let me tell you this. If you hold out and you don't frequent the sites and you try to and you try the best of your ability to stay away from that kind of stuff, and you don't abuse your body day and night, when you get married with your wife, your sexual relationship will be awesome.
Amazing.
Because everything will be new. Everything is new, and it's
special.
It's the way it's supposed to be. Satan wants to ruin all that because he knows how beautiful it is. Satan wants to ruin the most beautiful things that God has that's good for us. He wants to ruin those things. Sex is a beautiful thing. God made that for you to enjoy it. It's beautiful. And it's one of the main things he made for our relationship.
Yes.
And that's why it's so under attack by this kind of crap.
Yeah.
Because Satan wants to destroy God's beauty. And that's what he's doing with these stupid electronics, with all this pornography. So the only thing you can do, it comes at your kids, it comes at me, it comes at you, left and right. You just have to have the power and put on the armor to resist it. It's hard, not lying. You can do it. God gives you. Just walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Yeah. Both Dan and I, we've battled this. Thankfully, by God's grace, we've been able to overcome it.
Now, not only did we battle it, we were in a league.
Yeah.
We were in a pornography league.
Who won?
You! I couldn't believe it.
There is no proof whatsoever.
I couldn't believe it.
But here's the thing I'll tell you. If you're battling that today, you're not alone. Again, we've been there, we've done that. We battled it imperfectly, but God's grace is always sufficient for you. So if you're struggling with it today, you're not alone. We would encourage you. Check out the app from Back to the Bible. Go Tandem. In there, we will feed you content and scripture to help you renew your mind, to help deprogram the things that you've seen that you'll never forget, but it'll help reprogram your mind so that way you can resist the temptation and begin pursuing Christ. There is hope and there is freedom, but it takes intentionality.
Absolutely.
Flee and run and say no, and then rely on a community of people. I know without a shadow of a doubt, I could call up Dan and I could say, Dan, I'm tempted and I'm struggling. He'll say, don't do it, you idiot. It's going to ruin your day and it's going to hurt your marriage. It's because we've got that friendship and community. Find a community, whether it's on Go Tandem, here Back to the Bible, or at your church. But there is hope and freedom, and that's what we want for you. Dan, I appreciate you having such an honest conversation today about such an important topic.
Here's the thing. You have to be honest about stuff. If you're not honest, people always go, how come problems? They need to solve problems in this country. We need to, because nobody wants to talk about the real problem behind the problems. Yep. So when you start having real talk about things, then you can make real changes. This is real talk, okay? Just run from it. Put on the armor of God and run from it.
Listen to him. He knows what he's talking about.
Thank you for listening to the Hard Questions, Real Answers podcast. To learn more about our podcast, be sure you check out backtothebible.org. Also, if you enjoy our program, be sure to give us a rating and share us if you like us on your favorite podcasting app. Remember, ask the hard questions and only accept real answers.